Jolie, you touched on this, but we have heard from individuals who said that they had felt bullied into signing a non-disclosure agreement even when they had legal representation, and you mentioned how the cost and obviously the pressure and stress that can cause can be prohibitive. How common do you think it is for individuals to say they felt bullied into signing NDAs?
So we've just done some research on this. We had 260 women respond who had experienced pregnancy and maternity discrimination and had signed non-disclosure agreements. 91% of them said they felt forced to sign that non-disclosure agreement, that they didn't have another choice. 69% of them have said that signing that agreement has had a long-term impact on their mental health, and 60% said they signed because they felt that that would be better for their career. So it's put to them as if it is a choice. It isn't a choice. There's no other option. There's nowhere else for them to go. You know, if you either have a lawyer and you're going to go through to tribunal, in which case you're going to have to be put out there as a troublemaker and it's going to ruin your career for the rest of your life. So signing a non-disclosure agreement protects you. Many of these women are in horrendous, vulnerable states. They've just had a baby, they're trying to get used to motherhood, and they're going through this awful experience with an employer, and they just want it over. They're exhausted, they're sleep deprived. We've had some stories from women that are devastating. Women who have had stillborn children who are then returning to work and they're just being kicked out of their job. You think they don't have the strength to fight at that point, so they're given a non-disclosure agreement. There you go, shut up and go away. We know of companies, household brands who win awards for gender equality, who, as soon as a woman gets pregnant, they tell her she's lost her job when she's confused and doesn't know what's going on. They say, okay, well, here's a small amount of money. We'll give you a good reference if you sign this non-disclosure agreement, and she's out of the door. None of her colleagues know that this is going on. And then they can't tell any of their colleagues, friends. The silence, the secrecy, it damages women for a really, really long time.
So can I just intervene here? I mean, Emma said earlier that some women wanted confidentiality agreements. You're saying that your research is identifying that many women, the vast majority of women that you spoke to, saw this as something that potentially damaged them. But do they actually still want to have that confidentiality agreement even though it's damaging?
Wanting would mean there's choice. There isn't a choice. The only other option is they take them to tribunal. And as I've just said, if you've just had a baby, that isn't an option. Going through a whole year, how difficult that is to take them through that process. You just want it over and done with. So the non-disclosure agreement is the only other option besides taking them to tribunal. So they want it in that sense because they want it over.
Yeah, I mean, there's I think it's the white rabbit in Alice in Wonderland says that you might as well say that I get what I like is the same as I like what I get. The fact that you sign it doesn't mean that you want to sign it. It is that you felt that you have had no other choice.